My stepmother stopped me from attending my father's funeral. The call that changed everything. In 2026, life moved fast in Chicago. Too fast for bad news to arrive gently. Raymond Hill was at work when his phone rang. He almost ignored it. The screen showed an unfamiliar number, and he was in the middle of a presentation. But something, an ache he couldn't explain, made his hand pause. He excused himself and stepped into the hallway. "Hello," he said. There was silence on the other end. Then a shaky breath. "Is this Raymond Hill?" "Yes," Raymond replied, his chest tightening. "Who's calling?" "This is St. Vincent Medical Center. I'm calling about your father, Richard Hill." The hallway suddenly felt too narrow. "What about him?" Raymond asked. There was another pause, longer this time. "I'm sorry," the voice said softly. "Your father passed away early this morning." The words didn't land immediately. They hovered in the air, unreal, unfinished. "Passed away," Raymond repeated. "Yes, sir." Raymond leaned against the wall. His knees felt weak. "My dad was fine," he said, more to himself than to the caller. "I spoke to him last month." "I understand," the nurse replied gently. "Would you like me to contact a family member for you?" Raymond swallowed hard. "No," he said. "I'll handle it." The call ended, but the world didn't stop spinning. His father was gone. Richard Hill, the man who taught him how to ride a bike, how to shake hands firmly, how to walk away from disrespect. The man who called every Sunday, even when conversations were short. Raymond's hands trembled as he dialed the number he hadn't called in years. The house number. His father's house. It rang twice. Then a familiar, cold voice answered. "Hello." "Linda," Raymond said. "It's me." There was silence. Then, flatly, "Why are you calling?" Raymond closed his eyes. "My father is dead," he said. "The hospital just called me." Another pause. "Yes," Linda replied. "I know." That word hurt more than the news itself. "You knew?" Raymond asked. "And no one told me?" "It happened early," she said. "Things were hectic." "I need to come home," Raymond said. "I need to see him. I need to." "You don't need to come," Linda interrupted. Raymond froze. "What do you mean?" "The funeral arrangements are already being handled," she continued. "It's best if you stay where you are." Raymond's voice dropped. "That's my father." "And he was my husband," Linda said sharply. "I'll decide what's best." There it was. The wall. The same wall she had built years ago when she married his father. The wall that slowly pushed Raymond out of his own family. "I'm coming," Raymond said firmly. "Whether you like it or not." Linda laughed softly, not kindly. "You won't be allowed," she said. "Don't embarrass yourself." The line went dead. Raymond stared at his phone. For the first time since the call from the hospital, tears fell. Not just because his father was gone, but because someone was trying to erase him from the moment that mattered most. And Raymond didn't yet know that this was only the beginning. Raymond arrived in his hometown 2 days later. The drive from Chicago felt longer than it ever had. Every mile carried memories, weekend visits, late-night talks with his father, the smell of coffee always brewing too early in the morning. But as his car turned onto the familiar street, something felt wrong. The house looked the same. Fresh paint. Trimmed lawn. New black SUV parked neatly in the driveway. But it didn't feel like his father's house anymore. Raymond sat in the car for a moment, gripping the steering wheel. His chest tightened as he stared at the front door. This was the house he grew up in. The porch where his father used to sit every evening. The door that was never locked against him. He stepped out and walked slowly toward it. Before he could knock, the door opened. Linda stood there. She was dressed in black, but it looked rehearsed, perfectly pressed, hair neatly styled, face calm in a way that felt unnatural. "You shouldn't be here," she said. Raymond blinked. Hello to you too. This is not the time, Linda added. Family is grieving. I am family, Raymond replied, stepping closer. Linda didn't move aside. You stopped being part of this household years ago, she said quietly. You made your choice. Raymond laughed bitterly. I made my choice? You moved in and made sure I didn't belong anymore. That's not true, she snapped. Your father wanted peace. No, Raymond said. You wanted control. Her eyes hardened. You need to lower your voice, she warned. There are people inside. I don't care, Raymond said. Where is my father? Linda inhaled slowly. He's already been taken to the funeral home. Raymond's heart sank. I wanted to see him, he said softly. She shrugged. That wasn't necessary. That sentence cut deeper than any insult. Raymond pushed past her and stepped inside. The living room had changed. New furniture. Different curtains. Even the family photos were gone. Where pictures of him and his father once stood were now large portraits of Linda and Richard, posed, stiff, almost staged. Raymond turned slowly, taking it all in. You erased me, he said. Linda closed the door behind him. This is my home now. It was my father's, Raymond replied. And he never stopped being my father. She crossed her arms. You didn't call enough. You didn't visit enough. You made sure of that, Raymond said. Every time I came, you reminded me I wasn't welcome. Linda's lips tightened. He was sick, she said. Very sick. Raymond turned to her sharply. Since when? Since last year. Raymond felt dizzy. And no one thought to tell me? He didn't want to worry you, Linda said quickly. That's a lie, Raymond replied. My father would never hide something like that from me. Linda's voice rose. You think you know him better than I did? I was his wife. And I was his son, Raymond said. You don't outrank me. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Raymond asked the question that had been burning inside him. When is the funeral? Linda hesitated. Raymond noticed. When? He repeated. It already happened, she said. The room spun. What? Raymond whispered. This morning, Linda added. Private service. Raymond staggered back, his hand gripping the couch. You buried my father. Without me? You weren't invited, Linda said coldly. It was my decision. Raymond felt something break inside him. No goodbye. No last prayer. No final look. Just silence. Linda picked up her purse. You need to leave now. Raymond looked at her, really looked at her. You didn't just keep me away from a funeral, he said. You tried to erase me from his life. She met his eyes. And I'd do it again. Raymond nodded slowly. Then you should know something, he said quietly. My father never raised me to stay silent. Linda scoffed. You have nothing. Raymond walked toward the door, his hand shaking, but his voice steady. We'll see, he said. As he stepped outside, he felt the weight of grief turn into something else. Determination. Linda had buried his father. But she had just awakened a truth she wouldn't be able to control. Raymond didn't go back to a hotel. Instead, he drove to the only place that still felt honest. His mother's old apartment. It was a small brownstone on the south side, nothing fancy, but solid. The kind of place where laughter once lived. Where pain was allowed to breathe. The building looked older now. Paint peeling. Steps worn down by time. But when Mrs. Turner from downstairs opened the door, recognition flashed in her eyes. Raymond, she said, surprised. Lord, look at you. He smiled weakly. Hi, Mrs. Turner. She pulled him into a hug before he could say anything else. I heard about your father, she said softly. I'm so sorry. That was the first time anyone had said those words to him without conditions. He swallowed hard. Inside, the apartment smelled like lemon cleaner and old memories. Raymond sat on the couch and stared at the wall where a framed photo used to hang. His mother, Angela Hill. Strong, warm, unapologetically present. She would have never let this happen, Raymond said quietly. Mrs. Turner nodded. That woman always protected you. Raymond leaned forward, elbows on his knees. I was 12 when my dad married Linda, he said. Nobody asked me how I felt. Mrs. Turner sighed. Linda came in like she owned the place from day one. Raymond closed his eyes as memories surfaced. Linda didn't yell. She didn't hit. She didn't insult openly. She did something worse. She erased. She replaced family dinners with silence. Replaced laughter with rules. Replaced Raymond's mother's pictures with blank walls. Every change was subtle enough to deny, but heavy enough to suffocate. She told my father she was helping me grow up, Raymond said. But every correction was a message. You don't belong. Mrs. Turner shook her head. Your father loved you, but he was tired. He wanted peace. And she used that, Raymond replied. He remembered the first time Linda called him dramatic when he cried about his mother. The first time she said, "You're too old to need that much attention." The first time she told his father, "He needs boundaries." Boundaries turned into distance. Distance turned into absence. Why didn't my father stop her? Raymond asked, his voice breaking. Mrs. Turner placed a hand over his. Some men confuse quiet with harmony. Raymond nodded slowly. That's why she was so scared when I called, he said. Because I remember everything. Mrs. Turner hesitated. Raymond, there's something you should know. He looked up. Your father came here once, she said. About 6 months ago. Raymond froze. Here. Yes, she said. He was sick. He didn't look good at all. Raymond's chest tightened. Why didn't he call me? He said Linda didn't want him to, Mrs. Turner replied. Said it would cause problems. Anger burned in Raymond's stomach. She controlled his sickness, he said. She controlled his silence. Mrs. Turner nodded. But he left something. Raymond sat up straight. What do you mean? She stood and walked to a small drawer, pulling out a folded envelope. He asked me to give this to you if anything happened to him. Raymond's hands shook as he took it. On the front, in his father's handwriting, were 4 words. For my son. Tears blurred his vision. She knew, Raymond whispered. That's why she rushed the funeral. Mrs. Turner nodded. Because letters don't stay buried. Raymond held the envelope to his chest. Linda hadn't just tried to keep him away from a funeral. She had tried to outrun the truth. And for the first time since his father's death, Raymond felt something close to peace. Because his father had seen him, had remembered him, and had prepared for this moment. Raymond sat alone on the edge of the couch, the envelope resting in his hands like something sacred. For a long moment, he didn't open it. His father's handwriting felt too real, too final. Mrs. Turner gave him space, quietly moving into the kitchen. The apartment fell silent except for the ticking clock on the wall, the same clock that used to mark time when Raymond was a boy doing homework at the table. He took a deep breath and slid his finger under the seal. Inside was a single folded letter. He opened it slowly. My son. If you are reading this, it means I didn't get the chance to say goodbye properly. And for that, I am sorry. Raymond's vision blurred instantly. I know Linda made things difficult between us. I allowed peace to become silence, and silence to become distance. That is my regret. Not you. Never you. Raymond pressed his lips together, fighting tears. I should have fought harder. I should have spoken louder. I should have protected you the way your mother would have. He paused, breath unsteady. I want you to know something very clearly. You were never replaced. Raymond's hands trembled. Everything I did, every decision, was with the hope that one day you would understand. But I see now that understanding without truth is just confusion. He wiped his face and kept reading. There are things Linda does not want you to know. About my health. About my finances. About my will. Raymond's heart began to pound. I changed my will last year. Quietly. I left it with my attorney, not in the house. Raymond inhaled sharply. What I left you is not just money. It is proof. His jaw tightened. You are my son. My only son. No matter what anyone tells you. The letter ended with one final line. Do not let anyone erase you. Raymond folded the letter slowly and held it against his chest. So this was why Linda acted the way she did. The rushed funeral. The locked doors. The cold dismissal. She wasn't just grieving. She was hiding. Mrs. Turner returned and sat across from him. She didn't ask questions. She didn't need to. She knows about the will, Raymond said quietly. Mrs. Turner nodded. That woman doesn't fear grief. She fears exposure. Raymond stood up, his posture different now, straighter. I need to see a lawyer, he said. I know one, Mrs. Turner replied. Good man. Honest. Helped your mother once. Raymond felt a strange calm settle over him. This wasn't just about money. It was about dignity. It was about being denied the right to mourn his own father. And Linda had made one fatal mistake. She assumed Raymond would disappear quietly. That evening, Raymond drove past the cemetery. He didn't stop. He couldn't. Not yet. Because he knew now, his father hadn't been buried with all his truth. And until that truth came to light, Raymond wouldn't rest. Let's watch out for the next episode. Raymond fought fiercely for his rights and inheritance. Linda refused to back down. She fought just as hard. Who won? Who lost everything? The next episode will reveal it all. Subscribe to Mira Wealth Stories for more powerful and emotional stories. Like, comment, share, and turn on your notification bell so you don't miss any episode. Thank you for watching.